Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. Thank you so much for being patient and for allowing me to figure things out in the meantime. A lot of you guys have asked me, when am I going to upload another episode? And it honestly, just this whole, I guess the time that I've been apart from my podcast has been very interesting because I've just been figuring out my life for the past, throughout that time. And a lot has happened, so today I would like to share with you guys what has happened throughout that process. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and begin episode 33, which is probably going to be a part 3 series because I have actually done other episodes. So make sure you stick around and see those episodes, which I will be uploading. And let's go ahead and begin with episode 33. So today's episode is going to be really about updating you guys with everything that's happened in my life in the time that we've been apart. Some of you guys might know that I did go away to Ecuador for a short period of time. I said I was going to do episodes over there. I did record an episode while I was there, and it's in here, which is why I'm saying this is a 3-part series. There has been a lot of delay, and I just really have been figuring myself out throughout this time, and I'm glad that I have had the really the privilege of being able to have this time to really think about myself and where I want to go in this career of mine. And a lot has happened. So let's go ahead and start from when I was in Ecuador. So I went to Ecuador, I traveled alone, which was an incredible experience. I think it's really important that if you are traveling, definitely try to do it alone by yourself. I talked about this in my previous episode, which I did maybe upload, maybe I didn't. You see, there's so many unuploaded episodes, which I will try to get out for you guys. And I will, do a little insertion and be like, this is me from the past. Anyways, so yeah, I traveled to Ecuador alone and it was an incredible experience. I think it is something that we should all do if you're going anywhere, even if it's to visit family. Maybe you can try to go by yourself and that would, serve you really well. I think I did a lot of emotional healing throughout this time when I was in Ecuador. And I also got to spend it being with family. And I think that was really crucial to my growth at that time period as well. So after I came back from Ecuador, I was offered a position, which is where things get kind of interesting. I was offered a position, an unpaid position, which is going to change relatively soon, hopefully. But I was offered a position as campaign manager. I was super flattered that I was even offered the position. So I, of course, took it thinking, this is great. The fact that they even acknowledged that I would be campaign manager is really, really amazing because I am relatively young. I'm really putting my first footsteps into the political world. And so I was really honored that they had asked me to be part of the campaign. And so I'm really grateful that I have this opportunity. But now I'm asking for compensation because I realize that there is going to be a lot of hours that I will be putting in, especially from August up until November, which is when we have elections. We also have early elections here. So, I'm really flattered that I was asked to be campaign manager. I don't think anyone just gets asked for this position. So I feel great. Like I really feel like people are acknowledging where I'm at. And I think that this is an incredible moment for me, especially. And it's interesting because I had already been involved. I had done the episode with the mayor. And if you guys haven't seen that, it is on my SoundCloud. It is under the Earthy Amy show. It is definitely one of the earlier episodes. So if you're interested in listening to that, it's about an hour long. And you can go ahead and click on it. And I will put a link in the description of this episode. And so I am really, really honored. Like I said, I think there's a few things that I'm still figuring out. And because I am young and things are relatively new, I'm learning along the way. And so I'm not here to really boast about me knowing everything about being a campaign manager because I definitely don't, but I am learning, and that is the most important part. And I do support the people who are running for re-election, and so I want to make sure that I do this job right. And as I go along and learn about this process a little more, I would love to, share some of that information with you and some of the things that I have learned along the way, which I definitely will be doing no matter what, because I think that it's really important that us as individuals, but also as a younger community, an age group, I think it's really important that we kind of understand what's going on, and we don't need to know everything 100%, but I think it's still important, and I would love to share the information that I can with all of you, and hopefully that will serve you in some sort of positive and beneficial way. So the most recent thing that I did was going to DC, and some of you guys might have also seen on my Instagram, which is earthy.amy, if you guys are interested in checking it out. I went to Ignite, which is a huge nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that does conferences for women and to help them run for office pretty much. And so it was a 3-day conference. It was really exciting. And the way that it happened was very interesting too. It happened really just out of the blue, but also just really good timing as well. So the way that really happened, and I want to tell you guys this because I truly believe in things happening for a reason, and things happen the way that they're supposed to for whatever reason. But I was in I was in Albany, New York, doing some advocacy for the green light bill, which I also publicized on Instagram, and I try to be very vocal as I try to do all my platforms, especially Instagram. A lot of people are on there, so I think it's really important that if there's something that you care about, you advocate for it if you would like to. And it's a really good way to get a message out. So I was doing a lot of that. I was taking you guys along with me. And so I was really happy to be doing this because what was going on with the green light bill was really important to me. And hopefully I will get into that in further detail on another day. But I'm really glad that I went because the last day that I was there, and I had only gone to Albany to advocate for this cause twice. On the second time, I met a woman who is named Monica, and she actually is the campaign manager for Dreamer, who got elected as an assemblywoman, a state assemblywoman, and she is there. And so we were able to communicate, and Monica and a friend of mine, we talked to her for a short bit after all the advocacy, waiting to see if the bill would pass. And it did, luckily, and it was an amazing moment. But we spoke to her, and she actually told us that there was this conference that was going on in DC, and that if we were interested, we could stay at her place. And so I was like, wow, this is incredible. It's not really often that people are willing to open up their doors to you. So I was very, very honored that she would be willing to open her home to us, to people that she doesn't really know, but we're all women. I think we kind of trusted each other, and I think having that relationship with one another just off the jump, being Latinas and also being there to advocate for the green light bill, I think brought us really close, and it showed to her that we were interested in doing this kind of work. And so she said, take a look at this link. It'll tell you all about Ignite, which is the name of the nonprofit. So we met Monica, and Monica was willing to open her doors. And the Ignite conference was 3 days, and it was very, very, I don't even know how to explain it to you guys, but it was an amazing experience because it really showed me how many young women are really interested in politics. And it's kind of difficult to have political conversations with people. Some people are really uncomfortable about it and don't really feel like they know enough to have that kind of dialogue. Some people just don't really care for politics, which I think is a very dangerous thing. And I think we should all care to some degree. But, it was just amazing to be in a really influential space. And more than anything, it was so empowering to be surrounded by people who are interested in achieving something. And so, like I said, their goal is to basically get more women to run for office, whether that's on a local level or on a larger level, on a federal level. And they made us declare our political ambitions. And so it was just really amazing. I think they really helped us set our intentions and kind of speak it out loud. And I do believe that works, and it holds you accountable to the things that you really do want to do. And it gave me a sense of why not, And I think that's really important, especially when we don't see enough people who look like myself or who look like you. And so being in this position of being able to be and meet people who are already in office, like Ayanna Pressley, she was there. Unfortunately, I missed her part of the conference. And so I was very, very upset, but I got to watch it on the Ignite Facebook page. it was amazing what she had to say. And another really important thing that happened during that time was I met AOC. And this is a really crazy situation as well, because the week prior to actually going, I had 2 dreams about her, that I had met her. And I was just thinking, like, what if I really meet her? What if I get to meet my idol? Like, to me, she's really, really important because she represents me and she looks like me in a lot of ways. And we're very different, but we do look very similar. She is a Latina, and she has a very similar history to my family. And so being able to meet someone that I really admire a lot for the work that they do and for the advocacy that they do as well was honestly so shocking. And it happened on the last day too. And I remember we all went to her office. We were on the last day, we basically did some advocacy work and tried to get certain representatives to from different states to co-sponsor bills that they hadn't co-sponsored already. And so when we finished our part of the meeting with the representative that we had, we then decided to, as a group, I was like, we should all go, right? Like when we were like, yeah, let's go see AOC's office. Like that's all I was thinking about was where is her office? And the building that we went to was 2 floors. So there was one level where we were at, I think it was the first floor or the second floor. And then on the second or third level, the one above us was where AOC's office was. So we were like looking around, and then we finally found a directory and we saw her name and the number. So we went to the second floor. We went to her office, and it is amazing. If you guys have ever seen any of the images from her office, you can see that there are all of these Post-it notes, and there were so many, like it's just a full wall of Post-it notes of people who support her. But there were people who also put rude comments. But there were a lot of people who were there. And one of the really interesting things that I saw on that was Trump supporters for AOC, which I thought was very interesting because they, in a way, have very different ideas, and I don't think they align. But I thought that was really interesting, and it sparked an internal conversation that I had with myself on having conversations with people with people who have different ideas. But that's also for a whole nother episode. And I was so just starstruck at how it was like nowhere else in this space where all of these Congress members were there Post-it notes and so much support and love for a representative. So I thought that was really interesting, and it was beautiful. I had to add my little piece to the wall as well, and I did. And I forgot what I wrote. I just said, thank you for advocating for the Latinx community and doing what you do and being outspoken and really going against the status quo that is very established here in the United States. And so it was much shorter than what I just said now, but that was pretty much the gist of it. And I remember it says there are plaques on certain representatives' doors or right next to them that say you may the open door policy or something like that. It just says like you can come in, just knock and come in or something like that. But so, I wanted to go inside because we had already gone to this representative's office, and that's all we did. We just knocked and we walked in. And so I assumed, why not do the same for AOC? What if I get to meet her? And so I walked in, and I kind of, let people know that I was going to go inside, and figured someone would come with me, and no one came inside with me. So I was like, that's fine. As we all know, I'm here sitting doing this podcast for you and for myself. And so this is something that I feel very strongly about. And it is a passion of mine. And so, I have said in previous episodes, I think by the time I reached episode 100, I would do an interview with her. And who knows, maybe I will, maybe I still will. But that's basically what I did. I went inside the office to ask, what I could do to have an interview with her. Who can I contact? And it was interesting because when I walked in, the intern who was there, who I later found out was an intern, she was at the desk. And I remember hearing, as I opened the door, her hanging up on somebody and in an upset tone. And I later asked her, how her day was going. I just wanted her to feel comfortable with who I was. I introduced myself and who I was with, the group that I was with. But like I said, I was the only one in there. So I talked to her for a bit. And she told me, they do get a lot of rude calls sometimes. And so when they do, they are more than allowed to hang up, because at that point it is no longer a productive conversation and it is just hateful. So I was like, oh, that sucks. We talked about it a little more. And then I told her I was interested in seeing if I could interview AOC for my podcast. And I was an independent journalist, which I am. My diploma is right there. So, there are my credentials. And so I asked her, and she gave me an email, which I have saved in this little black box here, which is where I keep all my other business cards and information like that. So that is there for me. And I was just so, I was really interested. One of the really interesting things that I remember from that situation was when I walked in, there was also a very culturally, that sounds really bad. There was a really good smell. I don't know what kind of food it was, but it was ethnic food for sure. When you walk into a Spanish store and you walk into a family's, a diverse household, or an ethnically influenced household that still carries a lot of their traditions, food is definitely part of our cultures. And so when I walked in, I smelled food instantly, and it reminded me of the city, because I feel like the city is filled with a lot of interesting smells. And so I hope that didn't come off wrong. I was trying to figure out how to formulate things. I try to be very careful about the way that I say things, because they are very, very important, the way that we articulate ourselves. And so sometimes if I get jumbled up, I in no way mean it in a disrespectful way. And if there's a way that you would like me to correct it, then please let me know, because I really do try to be very, very cautious of things like that, and especially language, because the way that we say things can affect the way someone feels about a situation or whatever else. So yeah, if you have any recommendations on the way maybe I just said something, or anything that I've said, please let me know. But yeah, so it smelled amazing. It made me hungry. It was so good. It was just so interesting, because in the other offices, there wasn't a smell like that. And it was very strong here. And it just shows. Also, there were a lot of young people in the office. It seemed like they were all very relatively young. And like I said, the girl that I was speaking to, she was an intern. So we spoke for a little bit. She gave me the information. I said thank you, and we were on our way out. And so by the time we walked out, a lot of the group that was there had already left. And it was so funny, because when I was there, I didn't have my glasses. The last day I had run out of contacts, and so I couldn't really see anything. But I do remember when I walked out, everyone had gone, and there were two or three girls, I think, that were there, and they were like, oh my God, that's her. And I was like, what do you mean? Because she wasn't in the office. It seemed very evident that she wasn't there in the office. So when I was there with the few girls that were left, they were like, oh my God, that's her, at the end of the hallway. And so I remember in my dream that I was fangirling so hard, and I told myself, if I do meet her, I do not want to mess this up. I want to make sure that I can articulate myself very well and say something other than messing up my words and not saying anything of substance. And so as I predicted, I was very, very nervous to meet her. Like I said, she is a huge idol for me, and as well for many other people who support her in her work. And she was there, and I remember I just kind of ran down the hallway, but I also tried not to run too fast, because I didn't want to seem kind of crazy. I don't know. I was just so oh my God, I can't miss this moment. If I miss it, then I'm who knows when I'm going to have it again. So we walk/run down the hallway. When I get there, she's wearing her pink suit, and she looked amazing. She looked awesome. And one thing that I didn't expect was for her to be so tiny. And on top of that, she's relatively thin. So I think it made her look more smaller. And she was saying hi to all of us, and she was already talking to a few other people before our group kind of went down there. So she, she was there, and she was small, and I remember she was shaking everyone's hand, and then it was my turn to shake her hand, and I was so nervous, and I try not to freak out, but I'm pretty sure I can't even remember what happened, because it just happened so fast, and I was trying to absorb the moment and kind of, immerse myself as much as possible. And I just shook her hand when it was my turn, and I was like, hi, it's so nice to meet you. And I have a few clips from that, but I took a picture, and it's on my Instagram if you would like to see it. It is me and the group of girls who were participating in Ignite's conference. And it was just amazing. I really don't know how else to explain it besides it was amazing and I was flabbergasted. I know nobody uses that word, but I love that word. And I genuinely was flabbergasted. I just had no idea how to process this moment besides fangirling about it. And I remember I wanted to sit next to her so bad. Stand next to her to take the picture. Someone beat me to it, so I was like, I'm just gonna kneel in front of her and we're gonna stand sort of next to each other. So I did, and like I said, it was an incredible moment. She then afterwards decided she was leaving. She was on her way to the office. And it was really just an amazing moment. And I think it was a moment for me as well of reassurance that this is something that I'm supposed to be doing, especially because I did have those 2 dreams prior to meeting her. And some of you out there might be skeptical of coincidences and omens and meanings. But to me, they are very real, and the fact that I did get to meet her after those 2 dreams showed me a lot about my own personal path in this political atmosphere and kind of what maybe my role is supposed to be. And so I was just, like, wow, like afterwards I wanted to cry so bad, but I was kind of nervous because there were other people there. So I didn't really want to, but I was in so much happiness that I like was tearing up because I couldn't contain it. And I think when you meet somebody who means so much to you, you get emotional because it's you never expect that to happen. And like I said, we were on our way leaving. I was already on my way out thinking like, okay, I got her information. Maybe this can work out. And then she just happened to be coming back to her office when we were leaving. So if I had gone any sooner, maybe we wouldn't have bumped into her. If I had gone any later, I wouldn't have bumped into her. So a lot of it was just really perfect divine timing. And I'm so grateful that the universe really helped me accomplish this personal, not goal, but this personal, I guess, goal, for lack of a better word, for making it happen more than anything, because it is a very special moment for me and I'm very grateful. So I met AOC, and that was definitely the highlight of my entire 3-day conference in DC. Although everything else was incredible, and just being in an environment of support and just so much ambition too, I think is very inspirational. And that is overall the environment that I was in, just a very inspirational environment. And like I said, there were different type of people. There were Democrats and Republicans and conservatives, liberals, all different types of people. It wasn't just Democrats or just people who are progressives. There were a lot of different people who identified themselves in different ways. But it was just really amazing. And I got to meet AOC, and I'm really excited to see where my political career goes. To be very straightforward, I think that a lot will happen within the next few years. And I would say a lot of political transformation within the next few years, I can imagine, just based on the environment that we're in. And so a lot of this is very new to me. But overall, I just wanted to say that, based on everything that has happened in this short amount of time, I would like to say, a few things, which is, get involved in your community. If you are interested in politics, you can be involved, and it really takes just meeting one person, or even just sending out an email saying what opportunities are there for me to join, even if it's on a volunteer basis, for me to get involved in my town and in my community. And sometimes you can go to your city's website, and they'll have opportunities there. They'll have job opportunities, but also volunteer opportunities. And you really just got to look around, but it's out there, and you can get involved, and you should get involved because it is your town. Local politics is very interesting. But also, it's really important to understand what's going on because they directly represent you. So you want to make sure that the leaders who are representing your community are doing their job and are really there to help and support your community, whatever community you belong to, whether it's the LGBTQ community. Are they doing enough for your Latino community? What is going on? And staying involved is really crucial. And even listening to local news is really important. Just to, you don't need to know everything. And I recently had this conversation with someone who is younger than me in his second year of school. And I told him, you don't need to know all of the answers because I don't even know all of the answers. Politicians who have been in office for a long period of time don't know all the answers either. there are some crucial things to know, absolutely, but it's not like you can't have a political conversation because you don't know the entire history of the world. And it's a lot to absorb. Politics is very interesting. It's always changing. Politics is changing every day. There's something happening every day. So what I like to do is I use the NPR app, and I think anyone can download it. I think it works in any state. It's a nonprofit news station, and they have one in New York City. And so I listen to the one that goes on in New York. I listen to the New York City updates, and then I also listen to the large scale updates, the world updates. It's really helpful, and they're usually like 4 or 5 minutes long, and I just listen to that in the morning, and I kind of figure out what's going on in the world. And some of this stuff is important because it affects you directly. So definitely try to, get more involved if you want to. And if you would like to get involved in your community, you can absolutely. And you can make an impact, which is the other thing that I want to say is you can make an impact through whatever it is you're passionate about. And you can be passionate about anything, but you can advocate for things that are important to you and use your platforms, because your platforms, whether they're large or on a smaller scale, there's still people who follow you, and you can have an influence on their lives, whether it gets them to think differently about a subject or you get to persuade them. I personally don't think that you can persuade anyone, but you can provide facts to people and information and let them decide and make up their own opinions. So the other thing I want to say is I'm kind of taking a mental break from politics a little bit because I have been so involved, and I really do love talking about politics and just world issues, social issues, political issues, and humanizing a lot of these issues as well. But I have noticed that it has taken a toll on me, and I think I lost a bit of my self, and I think I really needed to get kind of back in balance. So I've been kind of on and off with it, but I really just try to stay away from it. I've been trying to paint. This little painting right here, I actually painted yesterday because I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to really do something that is going to alleviate some of this stress, but also just give myself a moment to center again and find something that makes me happy. Because as much as I am passionate about politics, it's important that you take your mind off of something, especially if it's work related, and do other things in the meantime, like doing some reading that doesn't have to deal with politics or social issues, and it doesn't have to be for a long period of time. And so I'm kind of reading some things. I got a book called The New Jim Crow, which is very, very good so far. But I'm also just trying to take a moment to relax and kind of step away for a little bit, unless it's work related, and do other things that make me happy. And the last thing I would like to say is that in a recent post that I had, that kind of sums up everything that's been happening in the past few months since I came back from Ecuador is you as an individual are always evolving. And a lot of people who saw the post were kind of concerned that something was wrong or that something was going on in my life. And I just wanted to clarify that everything is fine. I write a lot of the poems that I publish on my Instagram for a purpose. If I didn't feel comfortable enough to do it, I wouldn't. But a lot of the times I do this because I want to make sure that I show that I am a human being and that I am vulnerable, and that these thoughts are normal, and because I know that it happens with other people. And I just want people to understand that it's part of the human experience to be able to experience these issues, but most importantly to experience all of the emotions that come with being human. And we are not perfect, nor are we happy all the time. So I'm just going to read it to you really quickly, just because I really did like this, and I really wanted to post something like this to show people that I myself go through a lot of moments where I am skeptical about my life path, like this political path that I'm on, but also just my life in general. I don't have everything figured out, and I a lot of times get really down about the way that I look or other issues that are going on in my life. Maybe I'm not on the right path. So I'm just going to read this to you really quickly before my system, kind of shuts down. And so this is what I wrote. I said, I find it difficult to be kind to myself. I pick at the things that I feel aren't enough. I compare and rage grows at no one else but myself. I sit and wonder, why can I ever be enough? I sit here and admit this to you in hopes that if you feel the same, that we are enough. It's quite incredible that no two people are ever the same. Like flowers, we are all unique and together create an array of beauty, none of which are more beautiful than the other. I find it difficult to accept this notion, but in moments of self-hatred, I reflect on how everything that has created the person I am today, good or bad, has aided my growth. Every day we blossom. I have become the kind of woman I wanted to admire as a child. I know the tender version of myself is proud of who I've become. So today I say, show yourself some love. Be kinder to yourself. We've come a long way. And that's how I want to end this episode is we have all come a long way. And I want everyone to understand that whether we are where we had hoped to be a few months ago, or whether or not we are where we are constantly evolving as human beings. And I think part of growing and becoming a better version of yourself is to evolve and do a lot of reflection. And that's what I do is I do a lot of personal reflection that I like to put out there for other people to see, because I think it helps others, or I like to think that it helps others when people reflect on themselves and share that with the world, because then it shows that people who we might idolize or we might wish to be are human beings as well. And so that's really what I wanted to do with that post is, make people realize that I'm human and I'm not perfect. And I go through a lot of moments of I go through a lot of second guessing myself. But more than anything, I want people to understand that life is all about evolving. Every day you evolve and every day you are different. And it really is up to you whether or not you want to evolve or not. And it all starts with reflecting. And that's what I kind of use my podcast for, is to reflect out loud for you guys to see that, things are different and things are changing, and it's scary to go down a path that you are very unsure of. But when you do, and you take a leap of faith, things happen the way that they're supposed to. And if they don't work out, it's because you're supposed to redirect your life. And I'm really grateful for all the things that have worked out and for the things that haven't, because it has just been able to redirect me in a way that is very, very important, and for me to get to where I think the universe needs me to be. And right now, this is where I'm supposed to be, and it's kind of scary because I don't really have a steady job and it's very financially frustrating, but I am taking this leap of faith because I understand that this is something that I need to be 100% into. And like I said, I did ask for some sort of compensation, and so hopefully that will work out. But yeah, I think a lot of this has also been, I've learned to stick up for myself financially, and also showcase that I am worth a lot and that I bring new and interesting things to the table. And so because of that, and because of my time investing into people or opportunities, should be compensated for. And, as of right now, that compensation is knowledge, and knowledge is really important. I think will get me a long way, and just learning everything for when maybe that time comes for when I want to run for a position. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has been very patient with me. And I will definitely be doing this more often, definitely once a week. But definitely be patient. If sometimes I don't get around to it, I'm so sorry. But I really do want to be here for you guys and show you what's going on, so that way you can do these things in your community. And I want everyone to know that it is possible to achieve the things that you want to achieve, whether they seem very ambitious. You can achieve them, and they are definitely worth trying to achieve. No matter what, anything that you want to do, you should always try to achieve them. And if they don't work out, it's because there's something else out there for you that is better and better suited for you, and will make you even more happier and more fulfilled. So thank you so much for listening to episode 33, maybe part 3. And I will definitely be posting the other parts on my SoundCloud. So definitely check that out when I do. And I will see you guys very, very soon. And thank you so much for everything. And I hope this has been helpful in some sort of way. Like I said, you can do anything, and never let anyone tell you otherwise. Bye.